Hi, this is Divine Sunshine, and welcome to Divinely Speaking Unplugged. Today's topic is Respect My Hustle. As this is message is pretty much for the spiritual readers or anybody that's really an entrepreneur in business. A lot of times when we're dealing with clients, sometimes they don't respect our hustle. They might find ourselves trying to lowball us or try to say, oh, that's how much it is. Oh, I'll kind of think about it. I'll come back and get to you about your services, which causes us to honestly start to question ourselves as we're doing the business. We have to understand that again, it is about a spiritual energy exchange. And those of you all that maybe not be dealing with it, that's even if you're going to small businesses, big businesses, or whatever. And I think a lot of times they try to say that in business of how it helps out the community, how you giving your dollars helps out the person, but then in turn it helps out the community, and then it helps out the country, and then it helps out the country, and then it helps out with the world. And so there is a chain of command, or there is a chain that's going on as far as the influx of flow of energy from you giving the dollars as far as how it's able to help others out there. A lot of times when we're talking about in the spiritual business, it becomes a little bit more tricky. A lot of times people believe that, hey, you spiritual, you know what, if it's a God-given gift to you, it's free, you should be willing to give that out freely. Now, I'll be honest with you. I remember I was dealing with a person and he was spiritual, helping me in a spiritual way. And I remember me saying after a while, it was like he was charging me like, I think it was $69 a month. And he really was helping to grow and to elevate and go to the next level on some things. However, I was in that mindset where it was like, okay, why am I spending this $69 a month to help you? You know, you're sending me videos, you're doing things, maybe card readings every now and then, and that stuff. And I say, yeah, it's helping, but, I say after a while, it seemed like you would want to help me out for free. And I'm sure that there's a lot of us, if we be honest, a lot of us are thinking the same way. It's like, okay, well, you should be. And I dealt with a client here lately, and I could tell in her spirit, it's like, okay, I want you to help me about something that's going on with a family member. And I'm like, okay, sure, fine. I do it for the love donation. I went on ahead and I stepped through and I helped. I tapped into what was going on with the family member. Then it proceeded on, and then the next family member wanted to know, well, what you see about me? I'm like, whoa, wait a second. Now it feels when it starts for us that are in the spiritual business, and it starts becoming feeling like it's not even. It feels like I might be exploited, might be taken advantage of. It is your thing to say that, to tell them like no. So I did handle it in a nice way. I was like, you know what, I'm really just concentrating on the family member. I feel like they're still there, and I really want to dedicate my time to tapping into their energy instead of me switching over to tap into yours. She's like, oh, okay, I get it, and then afterwards, I asked for my money. I didn't ask for it up front. I did ask for it afterwards. And, no response. I like, here's my cash app. No response. And then later on, it's like, okay, I went back. I said, okay, at first I was going to get this long outdrawn thing. I helped you out. It's not right, blah, blah, blah. And then I remember I had that conversation with another person that's also spiritual too, in the spiritual community, and helping out others in healing and things like that. And I told them not to do the very thing. I said started backwards another way. So I started off a way which was, hi, I'm just checking in to see how the energies is going with the with the person, your family member, and just kind of let me know. So when I did that, they automatically had sent me money. It's like, to let them know. In my back of my mind, like, was I like, yeah, where's my money? But at the same time, I was like, you know what it is about the seeing, is the person all right? Has there been a change? Has there been an adjustment? And find it that way. But you know what? As a human being, I know we have the spiritual gifts. That I was like, it should not have gotten to that point that I had to ask, like, I'm hounding you for that. And I know a lot of us that's in the spiritual work is very the understanding about the price is something also about what I'm going to charge. Am I being right? Especially if you're dealing with that imposter syndrome, you have to kind of deal with that. It's like, okay, but I'm saying I want to charge this, but really, do I know what I'm doing? Especially those of us that's trying to start out. And I think about her name is Audrey Semper, and I remember I came to her about coaching and dealing with trying to do this spiritual business as well. And she said, you know, a lot of times when you're doing that in business, it also brings up your traumas. Because it's about your self-value, your worth, being exploited, you know, all of those different kind of things. And that is something in which, you know, that might be brought up. And I felt like this is a topic Spirit brought to me that we need to talk about, is about our value and our worth and how that shows up in our businesses and what we do and how we interact with others, and how even the customers can find ways to trigger us, to remind us of something that maybe happened in our childhood. And also, like I said, it brings up that imposter syndrome, you know, because they're going to remind you, like, how dare you ask for $200 for a session for 3 hours that you talk about past life? How do you know if I'm going to go under? How do you know that it's going to actually work? You know, and you have to stand in, especially if you've been in it for a while, you have to stand in, well, the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the results. The proof is in each time I do it, what people say and the feedback that I get. Now, when you're first starting off, I can understand it's a little kind of tricky. You know, what I would say is look and see what other people are doing. You need to sit down and really kind of sit with yourself and see what is of value, and you feel that it's, again, it feels good for you, but at the same time, you don't feel like it's ego kicking in. It's like, well, I see they charge $150 for a read, and you know I'm just as good as them. But if you're just starting out, are you really there yet? You know, find something. Now, that don't mean charging no $30 and you doing 3 hours worth of work. Now, come on, that's below minimum wage, or is that minimum wage? You don't ever want to do that. My DM had brought that to my attention, to my divine masculine. He brought that to my attention. You got to remember, like, you know, even thinking about minimum wage, like how much they charge you per hour when you're doing that. You know, look at everything else. Look and seeing about that, especially if you're doing coaching, seeing what other people coach, seeing what other people do and what they charge. Psychologists, you're saying I'm doing that coaching, I'm helping to transform them. Again, mostly on average when you go in there, it's $75 to $85 per hour. If you're doing that, you know, you say, okay, well, then that's what I'm doing now based upon that. Now, if I'm just starting out, maybe I might bring it down to about 65 or 55 if I did an introductory, and then move on and with more clients and more courage and more looking at it, and you can see your own value, then you probably say, well, I'll kind of move it on up. I mean, say, move it on up to the east side, to the deluxe apartment in the sky. We're moving on up. So you feel like you want to move on up. And that you always do. You don't ever stay there, because as you grow and you gain more knowledge, you gain more expertise in doing what it is. Yes, don't feel bad if you feel at that point that you got to kind of move it up. Don't feel bad if sometimes you feel led by that you want to do a sliding scale too as well. For some clients, some of them might be, you know, you say, you know what, I feel in my spirit, I might have to slide scale, maybe just give me a love donation, you know, and I feel like that'd be good for me. Now, if you start going over a certain time, you like, okay, 30 minutes, hour for me, okay, now this is 3 hours consultation, you're going to have to kind of talk to them, say, you know what, you know, usually most of the time, you know, I usually charge blah, 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 but since with you and it seems like you need me, I'm just going to ask for half the price. You know, you have to, and I know it blows people's minds, but again, at the end of the day, who's listening to the conversation? You are. Who's picking up the data? Your subconscious. So you don't want your subconscious to be recording and picking up how the many times that you did not value yourself. You have your inner child there too is listening. How many times again say, oh, that remind me of time with daddy, or that remind me of time with mama, and you know the value. You don't want that to pick up. So you always have to pretend like, okay, I'm not the only one talking. I got other listening ears here. My past, my trauma, my this, my mama, my dad, whatever it is that's sitting there, to my ego. So, you know, I want everybody to walk away from this table being happy, including you as the client, as you and me as the servicer or the provider. Just want to bring this to you. Spirit just told me to kind of think about that. And I just, every time when I do things, I'm surprised by what the channel and the messages the Spirit brings out for me. And I had to also go back and listen to myself like brand new. I always say that this experience of me being this has saved my life, because a lot of times I have to go back and go and save my own self in the whole process. So again, if you're interested in getting a session with me, MAT or a past life regression session, trying to unlock the things that help you live a better life in the now. A lot of times I've had two clients that said that as well, that helped them to really connect the dots to understand why things are happening the way that they are happening. And this really was set forth with the intentions, the healing that goes on in the process. All of that stuff is really worthwhile, the price, and real worth the time of you investing in yourself to make that happen. So go to AshantiWellnessCenter.com. That's at www.ASHANTWELLNESSCENTER.com. If you're interested, I know I was going on to something else. If you're interested in getting a session, I spelled it out because sometimes I do forget to add on at the bottom the description as well, as far as the information about where you can go get those. If you're interested in doing that, if you want a reading with me, you also go to Divine Unisouls 11.co. That's DIVINEUNISOULS 11.co. If you're interested in, as well as getting a reading or any other needs that you need. If you want to talk to past loved ones, you want to know if you're on your mission and purpose, all that different kind of stuff, you can get that there as well. And make sure that you are following me on this podcast so you can get updates. Remember, I load up weekly with this podcast as well, so you can get some updates about some good feelings and information and messages the Spirit wants you to know to deal with at that time. I also have a Divine Unisouls 11 YouTube channel as well, and also Divinely Speaking Unplugged as well. We're getting ready now to have our next virtual free retreat that's going to be hosted on 10/10 at 2 p.m. Central Time. And this is a good time for you all. The thing is starting over, because we know we're getting ready for 2022. And in order for us to, and you know, that's like that 22 is mastery and understanding how to master our life in the next coming year. We need to have a head start. So that's why I like to have those retreats, especially in October, so we can really be able to. Last 3 months is always known as the time that you set forth your intentions and how you kind of get the groundwork in, so you can be able to just execute it and live off of those intentions for the next following year. So you can be able to go to Divine Unisouls on October the 2nd. That's a Sunday at 2 p.m. and you'll hear some great speakers talking on various topics. All right then, again, as always, thank you for listening. Make sure you go out there and shine. And as always, stay uplifted, stay motivated, stay ascended. Namaste and Namago.